Let me tell you a story about what happens when people with money and power decide your family's land is up for grabs and what it actually takes to stop them. Because you can follow the rules your whole life, you can do everything by the book, and one day you still wake up with a shotgun across your lap, watching a Mercedes ease up to your front gate at dawn. That was me sitting there in the kind of morning that tastes like rust and dust, waiting to see who was dumb enough or desperate enough to start a war over what my grandfather built in 1947. Out steps this woman, white blazer folder, thick with legal paper, the kind of smile that says she's never lost a fight, at least not one that cost her sleep. Behind her, a county surveyor's already pounding stakes into the dirt, 15 feet past the old granite marker Jasper Harding set with his own hands. That marker's been the edge of my world since I was a kid, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let anyone move it with a pen and a phony survey. But you need to know something. My family didn't survive World War II or the Texas droughts or 100 years of county politics by accident. I married a woman who spent 15 years as a judge. She could take the law apart and put it back together sideways. And I spent 20 years as a military pilot learning that preparation beats power every single time. That morning, while the surveyor hammered his little orange stakes, I did what I always do, walked my lines, ran my hand over Jasper's old marker. Felt those letters cut deep, H1 1947. These stones, they're more than boundaries. They're promises. This is where it starts. This is where it ends, and anyone who crosses, it's got to come through me. And when you do something every day, you notice when something's off. That's how I found the tape. Bright orange, 15 feet inside my property, stakes fresh in the ground tags reading Westfield Survey. I didn't touch them. I just took pictures, wide, close notes in my battered notebook. That's how you fight back. Document, document, document. I called the survey office, got the runaround. Of course, nobody knew anything, but I knew better. Drove to the county records, paid extra for a rush on every deed within a mile. Back home, I opened the old wooden box Iris left behind. She'd taped it shut, written in her careful hand. If anyone touches the boundary, read this first. Her letter 2 years before she died told me everything the HOA had tried to buy us out for $400,000 in 2018, she'd refused. And this Miranda Dalton HOA president, real estate developer, the lady in white at my gate, had promised they'd find another way. And inside that box, Iris had left deed surveys from 3 decades aerial photos, a list of lawyers with one name circled in red, and a water report that made my jaw tighten. Our well sits on the Ogallala Aquifer, 500 gallons a minute, enough for 2,000 homes. Now I understood. They didn't want my dirt, they wanted my water. That night, headlights slid past my window, a black SUV slowing near the line, making sure I'd noticed. Good. Let them wonder. Next morning, I was in my lawyer's office, Wendell Cross, old school, gray hair, the kind of eyes that have seen every dirty trick in Texas property law. He glanced at Miranda's name and sighed. She's smart, she's connected, and she doesn't lose often. But we had something she didn't, real evidence. They'll test you, Wendell said. Don't blink. Noon back home, the Mercedes was waiting. Miranda gets out, heels sinking in the dust, husband trailing with a leather folder. Surveyor's truck humming in the background. She gives me the smile again, offers a handshake. I leave her hanging. Routine boundary check, she says. Seems your markers were off by 15 feet back in 47. Here's the latest RTK GPS survey. Science, not sentiment. I keep my voice level. 3 surveys, 1947, 75, 2010. All match. You want to dispute it, file through the courts. Till then, get your stakes off my land or I'll do it myself. Her smile falters. She hands me a cease and desist, tells me I have 72 hours to stop work on the disputed strip or face legal action. That's when their campaign began. Pierce, her husband, posts online, paints me as some stubborn old fool refusing to accept modern technology, calling for the neighborhood's support. 87 comments in 2 hours, most of them calling me every name in the book. I call Wendell. Pressure campaign, he says. Don't respond. Let's handle this by the book. So I go to work, cameras up around the property, voice recorder in my pocket, document everything. 3 days later, Miranda's back with the surveyor. I'm waiting on the porch, shotgun visible across my knees. Didn't point it just there. She keeps her distance, claims I'm threatening her. I tell her, no, ma'am. I'm protecting my land from trespass. Texas Penal Code. If you want to keep testing, that be my guest. They call the sheriff. When he shows, Sheriff Crane takes one look at the mess, reads both surveys, then says, ma'am, you want to keep surveying? Get a court order. Otherwise, stay off his land. Miranda's mask slips. You're making a mistake, Mr. Harding. We'll see you in court. But they weren't done. Next comes the avalanche certified mail, 7 violations from county code enforcement, illegal windmill, non-compliant, well-abandoned vehicle, phantom chickens, fake septic, you name it. Fines stacked to $42,000. I knew most of it was pure fiction, but you can't just ignore that stuff. I spent days in the archives, pulled dusty files, certified copies of every permit inspection photograph. Built a spreadsheet, ticked off each violation proof in hand. Wendell filed it all with the county along with a letter accusing them of malicious prosecution and requesting an investigation. We both knew it'd get buried, but now we had a record. 5 days after that, the Big Play HOA files for eminent domain, wants a 10-foot strip of my land for a public road. Funny thing, the road ran straight through my well. Their traffic study was full of holes, their maps a little too perfect. Hired an independent surveyor, Dr. Beckett Sharp, is a tack not for sale at any price, $8,000 worth every penny. She found what I expected. The HOA survey started from a reference point that didn't even exist. Their whole case was built on sand. Then, as if by magic, my property gets reappraised, taxes jump from $400 to $47,000 overnight thanks to a new mixed-use zoning. If I couldn't pay, they'd take the land at auction. Wendell and I mapped the timeline, 7 violations, eminent domain, tax jump, all in 8 days. You don't get that kind of coordination without inside help. That's when Wendell found the link. Miranda's brother Lawson Brandt, sitting on 3 county committees, budget, public works, regulatory, compliance. He had the juice to pull all those levers. And then came the anonymous email, sell the land. $600, $1,000. Final offer. The attached photo was taken inside the HOA office. They weren't hiding anymore. That's when I went back to Iris's box, searching for anything I'd missed, and found the false bottom. Inside Jasper's original map, hand-drawn with red ink notes, Ogallala Aquifer confirmed March 1947. Do not sell mineral rights. Do not separate water rights from deed. He'd predicted the fight 70 years before it happened. Dr. Beckett's new survey, the evidence of the phony markers, the connections between Miranda, her brother, the county officials, it all built a picture of corruption that was too big for the county to cover up. Wendell filed complaints with the district attorney, got the state involved. I upgraded my security system, 12 cameras, ground sensors, even hid cameras in the barn and well house. I set a trap, let them think I was away for the weekend. Sure enough, 3 men showed up in the dead of night, one in a Westfield survey vest, drilling up the original granite marker, burying it, planting a fake stake 15 feet inside my line. Caught it all on camera. Called the sheriff, waited in the dark barn until the squad cars lit up the night. When the dust settled, they arrested the surveyor and his crew. Criminal trespass, destruction of government property, tampering with records, felonies, all. The Westfield guy folded first. Admitted on record he'd been paid $15,000 by Miranda Dalton to fake the survey and bury the original stones. We had emails, text messages, everything. The whole scam unraveled overnight. Come April, the courthouse was packed. Media everywhere. Judge Morrison presiding, 0 patience for games. Dr. Beckett took the stand, demolished the fake survey. Sheriff Crane played the video, night vision, timestamps, GPS. The Westfield surveyor confessed under oath, spelled out how Miranda had orchestrated the fraud, even bribed county officials. Judge Morrison's ruling was quick. The 1947 marker stood, "My land was safe and Miranda well." She was headed to trial for fraud, bribery, conspiracy. Over the next month, indictments came down like Hale Miranda, her husband, her brother, the commissioner, the tax assessor, all in handcuffs. The news ran with it. The state legislature even passed a new law, the Harding Act, requiring HOAs to make their finances public and restricting their power to abuse code enforcement. Meadowbrook Heights threw out its entire board, rewrote its rules, set up quarterly town halls. I even started giving tours of the old well, telling school kids about Jasper, about water rights, about why boundaries matter. The real lesson: power doesn't always win. Not when you know the law, document everything, and refuse to be intimidated. And sometimes the people who look invincible, they're just bullies with good lawyers and bad morals. It took patience, stubbornness, and more paperwork than I ever want to see again, but justice won. My family's boundaries still stand. And the next time someone tries to take what isn't theirs, well, the cameras are watching. Sometimes I wonder how many other families out there are fighting the same fight, feeling like they're alone. Maybe that's the real reason to tell this story. Because justice isn't just about courtrooms or signatures. It's about not letting the world wear you down. It's about holding your line. And if you're still listening, maybe you've got your own battle scars, your own boundary line. That means more than just dirt. So what do you think? Where's the line between defending what's yours and letting go for peace? When does fighting back become the only right thing to do, even if everyone says you're wrong? Drop a comment, share your story. Tell me, what does justice look like to you? And if you want to see what happens when the next storm hits, well, you know where to find me.